The Tale of Snow White is a story loved by many. Originally written by the Brothers Grimm back in 1812. Since then, Snow White has been adapted dozens of times for TV and movies. In this video, let's take a 213-year journey through A Guide to Every Snow White. But before I get started, remember to like and subscribe. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs was Disney's first full-length animated movie, often dubbed the one that started it all. It was released to theaters in 1937 and was a very successful hit for Disney, allowing them to continue to create animated movies for future generations to enjoy. But this movie still had its share of problems. This movie's budget ballooned to a whopping $1.8 million, creating lots of pressure on Disney to deliver. Walt Disney actually had to mortgage his own house to help pay for the production. Snow White ended up grossing $8 million, making it an incredible success. Snow White, A Tale of Terror, puts a dark gothic twist on the beloved fairy tale. It was released in 1997 and starred Sigourney Weaver as the evil queen and Monica Keena as Lily. Here's something you may not know about the movie. The condition Lily has after eating the apple is a real condition called locked-in syndrome. In simple terms, you are unable to speak or move, yet your mind is completely alert and aware of what's happening around you. Creepy. The 10th Kingdom was a limited TV miniseries produced by Hallmark Entertainment that aired for one season back in 2000. The show tackled the fairy tale in a more creative way, parallel universes. We see Snow White as a queen of the 4th Kingdom, and she represents a very key figure in the miniseries. One neat little fact about this show is that the exterior shots of the Snow White Memorial Prison is actually the 940-year-old Hohenwerfen Castle in Austria. Snow White, Fairest of Them All was a TV movie from 2000, starring Kristen Crook as Snow White. Many people may know Kristen from the hit show Smallville, but during that time she was also able to land the role as Snow White. This movie was met with mixed reviews, with Kristen's performance coming under fire. Fun fact about this movie is, not only was it Kristen's movie debut, but she was also the second choice to play Snow White. Christina Ricci was asked first. There seemed to be a popular cultural trend in the 2000s where classic fairy tales were taken and given the modern teenager movie treatment. A Cinderella Story, which starred Hilary Duff, is a good example of this. But the 2007 movie Sydney White, starring Amanda Bynes, is another one. Sydney wants to join a sorority, but is rejected and forced to live with 7 other outcasts. Together they plan to overthrow the student government and institute equal rights for all. A neat little fact about the movie is that Sydney's Kappa sister Dinky's full name is Demetria Rosemead, a play on the character of Rose Red from the fairy tale Snow White and Rose Red, which is actually a different unrelated story, although it was collected by the Brothers Grimm. Once Upon a Time was a hit TV show that aired on ABC from 2011 to 2018, which received 91 nominations and brought home 12 wins. No Emmys, unfortunately. This show is packed with incredible performances, starring Jennifer Goodwin as Snow White and Lana Parrilla as the Evil Queen. Here's something you may not know about this acclaimed show. Jennifer Goodwin and Josh Dallas married in real life after meeting on the show and had 2 children together. One pregnancy was written into the show as their younger child Neil, and the other was only used for flashbacks when Snow White was pregnant with Emma. Mirror Mirror is an underrated 2012 fantasy comedy version of Snow White, featuring a solid cast lineup of Lily Collins, Julia Roberts, and Armie Hammer. This movie infuses comedy with some Bollywood film styles. Here's a fact you didn't know about this movie. The beast chasing Snow White through the forest is a tatzelworm, a creature of alpine folklore often described as having the head of a cat, the body of a serpent, 2 stubby forearms, and sometimes wings. There is a foreign adaptation of Snow White most have never heard of, and it's called Blanca Nieves. This movie came out in 2012 and is a Spanish black and white silent film. This movie takes a detour from the classic story and focuses mainly on Spanish culture and tradition, specifically bullfighting. A rather unorthodox version, but it was met with great reviews and several award nominations and wins. Something you didn't know about this movie is that the name Carmen is similar to carmine, a pigment of bright red color, also a general term for a particularly deep red color. Red is one of the colors associated with the title character in the original fairy tale. 2012 was a big year for Snow White movies, with Snow White and the Huntsman taking the crown that year as the most successful Snow White movie, making over $200 million in profit. This movie received 2 Oscar nominations for Best Visual Effects and Best Costume Design. Kristen Stewart, Charlize Theron, and Chris Hemsworth led the charge as the main characters. Here's a funny fact about the movie. During filming, Kristen Stewart accidentally punched co-star Chris Hemsworth in the face, giving him a black eye. That take is used in the film. And finally, the most controversial Snow White movie to date, starring Rachel Zegler as Snow White and Gal Gadot as the Evil Queen. This movie has been met with fierce backlash, even going back months before it came out. The list as to why this movie is so controversial is long, but the main reason is that it does not stick to the original story, at all. This movie is looking like it will go down in history as a dismal failure. Here's something you may not know about this movie. Actor Peter Dinklage was very vocal about the negative portrayal of dwarfs in the original. Disney, however, consulted the dwarf community before making the decision regarding the dwarfs in the movie. 2 dwarf actors, Dylan Postal and Jason Weeman Acuna, said most of Peter's remarks were false and that they both wanted to star in the movie. But Disney ended up going with all CGI dwarfs, with only a couple of dwarf actors as voice talents. Well, there you have it, a guide to every Snow White. I hope you learned something new. Remember to like and subscribe if you're a fan of videos like this. See you soon.